What's it like to experience a stroke? Well, I'm going to share my firsthand experience. I had a stroke in 2019, and the day started out like any other day. And actually, I was in the room where I'm videoing right now, and I started to feel some tingling in my right arm. And being a nurse, my first instinct of feeling that tingling is this isn't right. Tingling in the right arm. Am I having some kind of heart attack? What's going on? But that tingling quickly started to spread to my right leg and the right side of my head. And as soon as I realized that I was experiencing this tingling on all one side of my body and I was starting to feel really tired, I did something that was incredibly stupid that I would not recommend for anybody. Being a nurse, I got a lot of buddies in EMS, and I said, "Oh, there's probably just too busy for me. What if I call and it turns out to be nothing? I'll be embarrassed." So I said, I need to get checked out. So I jumped into my truck and I drove 3 miles to the emergency room, wanting to just make sure that I was okay. Well, I wasn't okay. When I walked in there and sat down and tried to communicate what was going on, I already gotten to the point where I couldn't really talk well, and my friends in the ER rushed me to the back. I don't have a lot of memories. I think I used to have more memories, and I'd have to go back and maybe look at things I might have said right after that stroke. But I have flashes of memories of different things of that ER experience. I do know later that my wife got there as quickly as she could. I knew some of my friends who were paramedics and nurses. I think were texting my wife and say, "Hey, get down there." I just can't remember, honestly. But what my wife said was, I was starting to get this facial drooping. I couldn't really communicate. Even my right eye today is kind of pronounced droopy. And she was impressed because I got in there so quick. And the thing that the physician was doing, I'd be able to talk to her later, is he was trying to assess what was happening. Now, Guillain-Barré syndrome can cause all this rapid paralysis, this tingling, this weakness, and that's not really a stroke. It's something else. So some people feel it's like connected with having infections or something. It's not fully known. So I'm sure part of what he was doing was screening me for that. They did get me in, I think it was a CT scan or MRI. I really can't remember. But what my wife said was the doc that was there, the ER doc, is one that I worked with when I was a house supervisor and charge nurse at the hospital. And so she said he was literally running from place to place, getting people moving, and arranging for a life flight, a helicopter ride to a higher level of care, to a neuro ICU, which would be about a 45-minute ride on the helicopter. But before I left, he was convinced enough that I was having a stroke, so that within 90 minutes of me starting symptoms, he was able to get TPA on me. Tissue plasminogen activator, also called TPA, is a super potent clot-busting drug. So before I got on the helicopter and they shipped me down to the neuro ICU at the Trauma One hospital, I already had that TPA working to bust the clots. And actually, I started to have more memories and clearer picture of what happened on that helicopter ride, because at some point coming down, I remember being more aware of my situation, but still remembering praying. I'm a person of faith, and I have this faith in Jesus. So apparently, I was just praying, and I remember this praying, just take me, Jesus, it's okay. I didn't want to live as a vegetable. I didn't know what was happening to me. I was scared, but I slowly started getting better as I was on that helicopter ride down. And then by the time I got there and I was being wheeled off, I have memories of them landing on the roof and getting me off the helicopter and wheeling me into the ER area, and they were ready to immediately go, and they had a surgical team. Everybody was there. I don't know. There was probably 10 or 12 doctors and nurses all around me, and they began to assess me and assess what my needs were, and they began to realize that I was getting through the woods. That clotbuster was working, and I was coming back around. So they put me in a neuro ICU room to just wait and see what was going to happen and begin to assess the fallout and the damage from the stroke. And I was so grateful as those doctors reported, I think it's the next day, they said that the TPA got on board so fast that they broke up so much of the clot that some of the diagnostic they did, they said I had very little brain damage. And that was good news. The long-term effects from that stroke for me are I have tingling in my right hand. And that's been with me for 4 years. It's annoying, but I can still use my hand. It's just annoying to have that constant tingling there. I think, a lot of days it looks like a slight facial droop a little bit with my eye. I have some balance issues. Like I used to when I was younger and in better health, I used to go rock climbing and hiking and canoeing. I tried to go canoeing after my stroke, but my balance is so bad I couldn't even balance a canoe. So there is, I do have repeated falls in the aftermath of that stroke. I just can't do anything. It is real easy for people to knock me off my feet. So I've learned to compensate by kind of learning how to put myself in a situation where I'm not going to fall. Soon after my stroke, I really struggled. There was times when there's words and my thoughts were there, and I just couldn't get them out of my mouth. That was very frustrating. But over time, I've been able to get most of that back. I have most of my memory back. I can remember all the well, as much as anybody can from nursing school and my ministerial training and biblical languages and things like that. I can access those things back. So I'm really thankful for that the deficits and everything are minimal for me. One of the things that I wanted to share this story, one of the reasons I wanted to share this story is the importance of getting to the ER as soon as you're really beginning to experience symptoms. The reason why I'm not laid up in a nursing home right now, totally paralyzed on one side of my body and possibly unable to talk, is because I got into the ER fast enough that they were able to do something to bust up the clot to minimize the damage. And the faster you can get treatment when you're experiencing stroke symptoms, the faster you're able, or the better able doctors are to help minimize the damage that you would incur. Now, for me, my stroke was caused by a birth defect that I didn't even know I had. I had a hole in my heart. So you might hear somebody call us septal defect or a PFO, and so apparently that the clots had gone through my heart and up to my brain through that hole in my heart, and and it turned out with some further testing that it wasn't definitive, I may have a very rare clotting disorder, and that the clots combined with the hole in the heart led to the stroke. So I was thankful because also getting medical treatment that allowed that assessment to be done so that I could have heart surgery about 7 or 8 months later to close the hole in my heart. So I just want to encourage people, especially when you're my age. You want to be tough. You want to continue work. And, you know, I feel a little horrible. I feel a little bad. I got this little bit of tingling going on. It's probably no big deal. Well, it may not be any big deal, but it could be a stroke. So I really want to encourage anybody that is listening to this. If you start to feel that numbness and tingling, especially on one side of your body, it's time to get treatment. And don't do like I did. I could have killed somebody by driving to the hospital on my own if I went unconscious or anything. It was just stupid what I did. Don't hesitate to call EMS, or if you insist on not doing that, to get somebody else to drive you to the emergency room. But you really do want to get it checked out. Now, I'm Pastor Chris. I'm a registered nurse. I'm an ordained minister, and I make videos about healthcare, particularly about the end of life, those who are suffering with terminal illness, with their caregivers and their families. And I really want to provide help and education for people so you can best handle and manage your health, especially with chronic conditions, with terminal conditions. So please follow my channel. It would help if you like it. It would help if you would comment. And subscribing. We're going to be putting up a lot more content as we're able. We're going to get better camera equipment, better sound equipment, better lighting, better all of that. But right now, as we're getting off the ground, we're just putting stuff up with the best we can, and we're really focused on content. That's our goal, is to get good content up, and then we'll get better at all the mechanics. We're just real. I've got a few people volunteering to help me with this, and we're just real people that really care, and we really want to connect with those that may have questions about their health care, particularly surrounding end of life or situations like mine with stroke. So leave in the comments, just leave a comment about your own experience if you've had a stroke, and how you're doing, and maybe what was done to help minimize the damage, what rehab was like for you. It would be great to have a community where we could all learn from one another. Until next time, let's build some beautiful sunsets together.